Welcome to Akagera National Park.
The logo is Discover the Diversity. It is so rich within a small pocket of land. We've got the lakes, we've got the hills, got the diversity of wildlife.
This is one of the most beautiful parks in the region. The park had its 80th anniversary last year in 2014.
Historically, it's probably got one of the best conservation stories, not often talked about because of Rwanda's position.
Akagera is a story of rebirth and the story of resilience, just like the story of Rwanda.
Once people come and they enjoy the experience, they see the wildlife, they're mesmerised by the beauty of the park, they're sold on the conservation of the area.
Akagera National Park was created in 1934.
It's one of the oldest parks in the region. Historically, Akagera was 3 times the size now. It was very large and it was very wide also at that time.
Historically, Akagera was a Big 5 park.
Lion, buffalo, all that species was intact. It was there at that time.
It's had a turbulent history with many ups and downs in tourism, in wildlife poaching.
The park was basically established as a purely conservation zone. It wasn't even promoting tourism. But legitimately, over time, the park needed to introduce the operations of tourism and built 2 lodges, and then also allowed for day tourism to travel through the park. Unfortunately, due to human-wildlife conflict, animal numbers significantly went down.
In 1957 and 58, 6 black rhinos were translocated from Tanzania into Akagera National Park.
It was also probably one of the first black rhino movements anywhere in conservation.
In 1975, 26 young elephants, all under the age of 2, were brought to Akagera from another part of Rwanda, which was not protected. They were brought to Akagera to repopulate the park, because elephants had ceased to exist here in around the 60s, and they formed the basis of the elephant population that we have in Akagera today.
But also there's been other introductions of giraffe into the park. 7 were a gift from Kenya to the park, and now we have over 40. All those practices of moving game were practiced very early on in Akagera's history. Rwanda has a huge history. It goes even further back than 20 years, but the genocide is 20 years ago as of this year.
Since Akagera National Park was created in 1934, it was a better and well-managed park until the coming of 1994 Rwandan genocide.
Rwanda is a small country. Akagera was 10% of the country at that time. A lot of returnees coming back from exile, they needed somewhere to graze their cattle, so they moved into Akagera. It was a lack of options on their part, but unfortunately the park also suffered from that.
After the returnees came, there wasn't a system to separate the park and the people. Lions killed cows, and in exchange, the owners killed lions, and that's how lions came extinct in this park. There were more than 300 lions, but as I speak now, there's no single lion.
Because of the human-wildlife conflict, black rhino was also wiped out.
The government was able to come back from that, was able to move people into 2/3 of the park and keep 1/3 of the park, which is still a viable size for a park. But it did take a big downward turn, and we're still dealing with some of the consequences from that now.
But as of 2010, there was enough of a stock to regenerate once we've got the law enforcement and security within the park. So Akagera's history is Rwanda's history, It's not as devastating as the human loss, but also the wildlife loss was also quite big too. Akagera is a case study of us doing positive work. It was dire, it was going on the downhill slope, but we've managed to turn it around. The key animal numbers were still here to regenerate, and the government, as I said, supported us in regenerating the park.
It's a great story of conservation that has been achieved with our other parks, but Akagera has impressed, I think, Rwandans in general.
In the last 5 years, tourism has increased tremendously, from around 12,000 people in 2010 to over 28,000 people in 2014.
Ever since I was a young boy, my parents used to take me to Africa quite some times, and I guess I got infected by the wanting to visit the parks in Africa disease. So I go here on quite a regular basis. Once or twice per year I try to visit a park. What I really like about visiting the park here is that you see that the conservation story is working out really well. If you would visit it year after year after year, you would see that the number and diversity of animals in the park is increasing at a fantastic rate, and that's truly heartwarming.
We have plans to bring lion and black rhino back to Akagera, which will make it a Big Five park again. And then it will be the only Big Five park in Africa that also has shoebill, which is something pretty special.
In 2014, 53% of the visitors of Akagera National Park were Rwandans. That is a bit unique in Africa.
It's a park that benefits Rwandans, and they owe it their whole support.
Specific to Rwanda, it's the most densely populated country within Africa. The population on the periphery of the park is huge. A lot of the people used to rely on the park for resources or cattle grazing or firewood or water. So it's key now to make the community aware that we're managing the park, but we're managing it for Rwanda, and the potential they can have from good management of the park is never ending.
We are aware that it's only when people start seeing benefits from the park that they can support us conserve the park. So we prepared this play, this drama that we took around the villages, showing people the behavior of lions and how they could benefit from the lions coming back to Akagera National Park, how they could benefit from the potential increase in tourism numbers and revenues.
We are teaching community to protect the park, avoiding the illegal activities.
Without the support of the community, the work that we're doing inside the park is not sustainable. You need to have the buy-in from the people living on the park boundary.
The defense project was initiated in 2012 by the government of Rwanda after realizing that there was no other solution to the problem of human-wildlife conflicts around Akagera National Park. It was huge, which is actually why even the lions went extinct, because the communities poisoned them after they were eating their cattle.
We are trying to open this area so that we can try and push the remaining animals. Because when the fence was elected, there was a lot of animals in and out. The community now, they are helping us go and push animals inside the park.
Ever since the fence was completed in 2013, there has been a significant reduction of cases of human-wildlife conflicts, and people in the communities are happy. They can now harvest their crops, and they are very thankful to the initiative. The beekeeping initiative is something that Akagera Management Company is trying to promote within the communities surrounding Akagera National Park as an alternative livelihood project. Akagera National Park has lots of woody species, trees that are very suitable for producing pollen that the bees like. Back in 2013, Akagera Management Company bought 22 modern beehives and gave them to the cooperative. And by January 2014, they have been able to harvest 365 kilograms of honey.
Iterambere twagiye tugeramo nk'uko mugenzi wanjye yabivuze, twabashije kugenda twiteza imbere, tubasha kubaka amazu bamwe tutari dufite, tubasha kugenda twiteza imbere mu bintu by'ibinyabiziga, ndavuga ubwo nka moto.
The Akagera Women's Cooperative, it's a group of women who have been doing handcrafts since 2007.
Aka niko gakapu ka mbere nize kudoda muri koperative.
We approached them about putting some of their products in the Akagera National Park gift shop.
Urumva rero nitumara kwagura isoko ibikorwa bibaye byiza bizatugirira akamaro kuko natwe tuzaba twihesheje agaciro, tuheshe n'igihugu cyacu agaciro.
We are doing all this to support local communities to benefit from tourism.
Pariki y'Akagera ku Gatindo, we nahigaga mu pariki y'Akagera, inyamaswa twakunda kwica habagamo imbogo. Kubireka habaye mobilisation y'abantu baraza baratwigisha, batwigisha twumva ko ibyo turimo atari byiza. Narabashize imyaka igera kuri 20, bashize igihe kinini. Twibumbira muri koperative, dukorera hamwe, batwigisha gucuruza amatungo, tubona imboga zo kurya. Cyakagera yatugiriye nyine tumaze kubona ko ibyo twangizaga atari byiza, yaradusuye, iradufasha, iduha inkunga yo kubona aho dukorera.
The more the people see the park as a source of sustainable income and livelihood opportunities, then they will become our best supporters and advocates for keeping Akagera as a safe refuge for wildlife.
I'm inspired by the people on the ground and the rangers. They work every day going out into the field.
Literally every day they're putting their life at risk. First, to conserve the animal that probably would knock them over anyway, but also to protect that animal from poaching, be it subsistence or commercial poaching. And when we talk of poaching, we're not only talking of animals, we're talking of timber, fishing, illegal trespassing.
Dukora aka kazi ariko nubwo tugakora kari muri risk, tugakora tugakunze kandi n'ingaruka duhura nazo kenshi tumaje kumenya uburyo tuzitwaramo.
Previously, Akagera National Park has been facing a number of challenges, but since 2010, with the coming of Akagera Management Company, there is a very good improvement. The numbers of animals poached, it dropped from around 180 to 20. Others, like snares, 2012, we collected around 2,000, but 2014, it went down to 500. And also, arrests 2012, the numbers went high up to 180. 2013, it dropped to 90. And last year, 2014, it dropped to 20.
My position is as law enforcement manager for African parks. So I come from a military background. So I spent the last 6 years contracting in Africa and helping out with anti-poaching throughout the continent. This is an example of exactly what some of our forces have captured over time. Every one of them represents a potential dead animal. And that's exactly what we're trying to stop. Without the animals, we don't have tourists. Without tourists, we've got no income or revenue. And these places will just turn into wastelands. Yeah, this is about 5 years' worth of snares that have been collected over time by a team sweeping through the bush. Our biggest concern in terms of frequency is this wire. Often a lot goes missing from different fences all around the region. We have to keep a tight control of our fencing stalls. If any goes missing, then we might pick it up 2 weeks later in the bush. More of a concern are snares such as these, your larger, heavy cable-type snares. These are incredibly strong and they're used for all sorts of game. They can be used for buffalo, for hippopotamus. We've even found these 4 meters up in a tree now trying to snare giraffe. Once these come on, they're almost impossible to come off, and the game go through a very slow and very painful dying.
With the kind of momentum that we are having, I think to even go further, because we are determined to protect this park. We are determined to make it better, to make it a better park.
Akagera National Park is managed in partnership by the Rwanda Development Board, which is the Rwandan government, and African Parks, which is a conservation not-for-profit organisation. They joined together to form Akagera Management Company, which is responsible for the total management of Akagera National Park.
The government invited African Parks Network in 2009 basically to revive, restore the stability of Akagera, bring it back to its former glory of where it used to have all the variety of game, reduce poaching, but also increase tourism, which is Rwanda's key income generator for the time being.
In the past 5 years, Akagera has gone through a lot of changes under the partnership between African Parks and the Rwanda Development Board. We have built a lot of new structures, renovated existing structures, including a new reception and day visitor centre, Ruzizi tented lodge, new offices, staff housing, renovation of ranger posts, a lot of development on the road network to improve existing roads and expand with new roads. We've seen a huge increase in tourism over the past 5 years. Some of that is to do with the development of Ruzizi Tented Lodge. It's a park-operated lodge where 100% of the profits go back into the management of the park, which in total has seen almost 300% increase in the past 5 years.
Ruzizi Tented Lodge is the only tented lodge within Rwanda. It is on the lakeshore of Lake Ihema. It brings a totally different experience by waking up to the birds in the morning, you have the hippos in the evening, and then you also have the good service of the staff.
It's entirely run on solar, and being in a tent, you feel really close to nature. So I think people appreciate that.
Freelance Guides is a system basically bringing in young youths from the community to become guides, to become the ambassadors for the wildlife.
Because we were born from around this park, we saw that it is important to conserve, but we didn't have a way to come and conserve in the park.
I'm proud to be a guide in Akagera National Park as a freelance. Because we are earning money, enough money, so we are helping our parents, we are helping the community.
So they're starting to realize that an income, a passion, and also preserving and conserving the wildlife will bring them the future, basically. In the coming years, we hope to have a 5-star luxury lodge based in the north, Eco Lodge. We hope to bring in houseboats, which is another product, a temporary bush camp product, which is people sleeping under the stars for a few nights. And then also walking safaris where they'll be guided by a professional guide, walking through the terrain and getting a real feeling of what it is to be walking within nature. That is as we go along into the future.
If nothing is done, these places probably won't exist in 20 years' time. There probably wouldn't be any animals left, and there'd probably be a lot of people in the parks.
It's not just Rwanda, it's all the world. Conservation is important for everybody, for everyone. You know, we have to keep that system working because it's our life.
We're able to look back and actually see quite dramatic changes, and that keeps you motivated to move forward and realize the potential.
Akagera has proven a success story, and with the reintroduction of lions and rhinos, we will only see a bigger notice for Akagera at national and international levels.
The key is to just buy time. We don't know the future. We don't know what it holds. We know there's something special there. We know that our grandkids cannot do without those in the future, or we'd like to show it to them.
The cold, hard reality is that conservation of wildlife in